so excited to get to share one of my favorite humans on the planet with you. I met Alicia on the stage. I got to see her the first time. I was a fangirl. I saw her do this amazing stand-up comedy routine, and I was so taken by it. Not only because it was funny, and it was really funny, but it was smart and it was clever and it was tending to the things that really were alive in my heart. And she was able to help me look at all these things in the world, but also like bring laughter and levity and play to it all. And so I started off as a fangirl, and we were in community, and I reached out to her, and we ended up hanging out a couple times, and we became dear to each other. And so it's been a real honor to get to share a lot of life and part of the journeys of being creatrixes in these times together. And I'm going to share a little bit about the logistics behind some of her experience. She's been touring the world from London to Bombay, selling out shows and winning awards like Best Storyteller, Best of the Fringe, and Best Comedian. I don't know why I have to have my announcer voice for this, but I do. She's been directing solo shows, coaching speakers, and leading a storytelling and comedy workshop lately, supporting clients to create new writing and performance and win awards themselves. And she's also creating. Do I get to tell them? Do I get to tell them? Can I spill the beans? Okay. She's in the middle of creating a new show, which I'm really excited about. So without further ado, I hand the reins over to Alicia, and may we be in a state of bliss and joy today. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Just be really, really, really funny. But however it goes. Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending this precious time on a computer, and it's wonderful to see your faces and to feel you and to get a sense of the environments you're coming to us from. I like to just, when we're on Zoom, I like to just ground us into our space and our bodies and seeing each other and feeling each other. So let's just take a breath. And noticing how you're feeling, noticing if there's anything going on in your body or your emotions, and welcoming it and letting it be here, and also letting it be part of the background, maybe not the foreground. And I'm going to be sharing a screen with you so you can see some slides, but maybe we'll kind of pop in and out of that so that we're not so in the screen realm. So let's start off by, I want to hear from everybody. Well, let me just share this fancy screen since I did all this fancy work. Shine your light, woo! Why humor? I gave it away already. Why do we come up with humor? Why do we use it? What's the purpose of it? What's the point? I just gave it all away here. Talk about comedy. I'd love to hear from each person what it is that has you here, what it is that you want, and these are kind of like the main questions. One way you get stuck with humor, like, I'm not good at that thing, and if I were good at that thing, I would feel better. One thing that makes you laugh out loud, or that has made you laugh out loud at one moment, and one thing that you want to come out of this time with. So that'll look like about 30 seconds to a minute per person. So I can get a feel for who you guys are and be able to attune to what the specific things are that you are here for. I'm working with a client and we're writing a show, we're writing a set with, and she's performing at a Judaism and psychedelics conference. And so it's a whole more than 20-minute set about that. And yesterday we were talking and she was like, well, I just don't know if it's funny enough. And I said, you know, you're not like supposed to try to be funny, right? And she said, what? I said, you know, you're not supposed to try. Like if you're trying to be funny, then it's gonna be pretty bad. And this is something I've, you know, in 25 years now of doing stand-up, struggled with, to try to be funny. But she was literally had never thought of that. I was like, it's like, you know, when you try to be sexy, you know, like I'm so sexy. No, you just go do the thing you love. You're passionate about something, and then that's sexy to people, right? It's the same with many, many things. If you try to be that, you try to be happy. Okay, everything's great. My life is good. I'm fine. Things are going well. I'm happy, right? So every person has a unique perspective and a unique point of view, and character traits and quirks and ways of speaking and being that sometimes exaggerated and sometimes not, just sometimes being more of who you are, actually is funny. And I find that the more I take myself, this is opposite from kind of what we're talking about here, but the more seriously I take myself on stage, the more people can laugh at me. So it's like I'm not commenting on my own foibles. I'm letting you comment on them. And so I have a level of self-awareness where I can let myself be seen in my hilarity, and I'm kind of watching you watching me in a way, not taking myself seriously by letting you see how seriously I take myself. Does that make sense? It's a little meta, but I'm letting you see how seriously I'm taking myself, and that is me knowing that I'm being ridiculous. So that's kind of what we're going for when we do, for example, stand-up comedy, and some other kinds of comedy. Letting you see, it's very vulnerable. Letting you see how seriously I'm taking myself. When you walk into, you know, you're standing in your house, you're at a cafe, you're like, these are not necessarily natural, like where we are not necessarily natural contexts where humor can blossom. Like our everyday lives, of course, every moment can be a moment for laughter. But when we create a context and we put ourselves inside, that's literally what a situation comedy is a person in a situation that is funny and their reactions and their responses to it. So finding that context for you that automatically blossoms into humor. And what is that? That could be an improv class. That could be, you know, like when you're teaching, you have a subject that is clear that everyone is discussing and having discourse about. You've got that context to make fun of that subject, to make fun of what's happening inside of that room. So it's really valuable to have that kind of space. So let's all recognize the value of context. You know, we speak about speaking truth to power, and I know that we're in the power chapter, the power chakra of this course. And I want to encourage you to own your truth and own that you can speak it, and you can do that in a way that brings that empowers you, and that topples systems that are no longer functional. You can be the David shooting the humor at the Goliath, and and depending on who you are, David is different and Goliath is different. Whoever we are, our sense of who we are as David is like who the Goliath is. It's different for each person. And so recognizing that too. What I think our work and the possibility is to, a really great way to lay it out is to name what's happening. And by naming it, you create the space that makes it possible. And so a lot of, as you're telling a story, as you're creating, as you're speaking, you basically outline the context of what we all just said. You start out and you say, wow, things are really hard right now. And that's pretty much every email I write to my mailing list is like, wow, it's really rough out there. Like, I don't know what else to say. Whoa, it got a little worse. And so we name like, wow, there's stuff that's really upsetting. So laying out the context. Number one, wow, it's really rough out there. Number two, wow, another shitty thing just happened. Wow, we all must be in survival mode, huh? I feel really traumatized. Do you feel traumatized? Gosh, I don't know how to relax my nervous system. Oh, we're in survival mode. Wow, did you know that one thing that's really great for your nervous system for coming out of trigger and trauma is laughter? How many people would like to laugh more? How many people would like to, oh yeah, wow, I noticed that, and then just getting buy-in all along the way. Wow, are you all traumatized? Yeah, me too. Wow, do you miss laughing? Yeah, me too. Did you know that it's kind of a spiral, that it's sort of a not a self-fulfilling prophecy, but a thing that spirals in on itself, that the less we laugh, the less we feel free to speak about what's happening, to be silly and mischievous, the less that we can, the less we relax, and the more tight and stiff and afraid and worried we get, and the more that we stay in that space, the more that breeds itself. Oh, wow, right, I forgot about that. And then what if we could all just open a little bit and be a little bit more spacious? Would you all be open? I'm imagining this is what you might say to an audience or to a group of people. What would it be like if we all gave a little bit of extra space around the edges to allow some of that spark, some of that freedom of silliness, to be able to laugh at ourselves and each other maybe a little bit? Who here would be open to a little bit of spaciousness around that? That's what I'm imagining. And then, more tension, more fear. Oh my God, what might happen? What might we say? And then we laugh at that. Oh my God, and you can make a joke about that. What's going to happen? You do the dialogue of them in their heads. Is somebody going to say something bad? Somebody going to be offended? Am I going to be hurtful? Am I going to do it wrong? And then can we laugh at that? And this is way advanced, but I don't even know how to explain this, and I don't know if I'm just going to say it. So this weekend, my boyfriend was tickling me, and I felt out of control, and I wanted him to keep tickling me. And I started to laugh uncontrollably. And then I felt out of control. And then I just burst into tears. And I wanted that experience. And I felt, it was just mimicking a childhood trauma where I was tickled and I didn't have any control over it. And I felt safe enough to have that experience with him. And I felt so relieved that I could laugh and cry. And I felt like the dam broke and like, thank you for having this experience with me. And I felt like, wow, I've done enough work on myself in my life to be able to like cry and laugh and be totally okay with that. And now the space is open for me to cry and laugh. And I think we have to be the people who model the ability to cry and laugh and the ability to get hurt and be offended at something that happens and cry about it and still be with ourselves and be in relationship. And what would that be like to have enough space that things can be spoken? And, if we get to a place where you can never say anything because it could be hurtful, we don't have comedy anymore. We don't have laughter or humor anymore. So we have to be the model for like allowing ourselves to be in that discomfort and navigating how to be with it. And so how can you embody that? Name it, lay it all out and see, is there buy-in all along the way? Is everybody on board with this? And then maybe somebody says no. And then you decide, well, okay, I'm not going to go there. Or they decide, hey, I can't stay. And we just kind of walk along together along the way, outlining like, look, everybody, we need to laugh. And maybe as much as we can do right now is some laughter yoga, literally laughing for no reason. And maybe that's as much space as we can muster. And literally laughing for no reason, and we're going to do it at some point before we leave, is a way to start to relax our systems. And I actually start when I lead laughter yoga, I lead the first, if I'm doing an hour, the first 5, 10, 15 minutes is just laying down on the floor and relaxing. And breathing and then making sound. And then we start to go, ha, and then we go, ha, ha, and then just allowing it to unfold. So yes, the funniest people I know are the people who experience intense trauma. It's necessary. It's, so necessary for healing. Totally. Yeah. And so for us, it's not like you want to go and hurt yourself by like going into humorous places that are not humorous yet after trauma, but like we totally want to be able to like, the more that we can embody the ease with like, whoa, hard stuff has happened, the more we can model that for other people. Yeah, I think when we name stuff and we kind of walk it through, that's really the best way. It's like, don't you guys want to laugh a little bit? Do you miss laughing? Yeah, I do. I really miss it. Okay, let's try to give ourselves and each other a little bit of space, and even to do it wrong, and repair it if we went too far, if we said something that was hurtful or and that we have the space to make mistakes. So I'd like to do an exercise. This is called the alchemy of laughter. And I led laughter yoga for a while and created this exercise. And let's see, I could share the screen. This is boop. Okay, that's a good thing. Oh, there's so many things to share. Okay. When you're telling a story, I encourage you to build a solid foundation. We've talked about that a lot, but really it's like start with the story and then get to the other stuff. Alchemy of laughter. So this is about getting a do-over of a story. And what this practice is, we're going to do it in groups of 2. We'll do breakout rooms. So we're going to choose a story, something that happened to you recently that is not funny, that you're something you're upset about. Let's not have it be so huge like a death, but maybe, you know, somewhere like a parking ticket or something slightly bigger than that, but not hugely painful, but just crappy. You're gonna rate, and I'll give you the instructions all along the way. I'll type them in the chat box. So you're gonna pick a story. We'll go one person at a time. The first person will pick a story and rate how it feels on a scale of like 1 to 5, how painful it feels. Oh my God, it's a 5. It's so painful. So you're gonna tell your story and you're gonna exaggerate it. You're gonna make it even worse. You're gonna tell it, you're gonna add the fireworks like it's a cinematic version of the story. You're gonna make it so big and so painful. You're gonna make yourself the biggest victim. It's gonna be the worst thing that ever happened. You tell the dialogue, say what happened and who said what to who. And I like to have this be a surprise, but it's not now. Your partner, the other person, is gonna tell that story back to you in the same way you just told it. You're gonna listen. You're gonna hear your story told back to you. And the next step after you hear it is you, the teller of the story, is gonna share one insight or something funny or absurd, ridiculous, wacky about hearing, you know, about that story, about yourself, just one insight. And then you are both going to laugh at that insight or that something funny that you recognize. Oh, I can't believe I actually was being like this in that story. Or you're gonna have a whole new insight. And then you're gonna rate how it feels. And so now it's a 2 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5. Maybe it becomes a 6, who knows? It might not reduce your amount of pain, but it's an integration practice. It works on a lot of levels. You get, I don't know, do I tell it? It works on so many levels. The laughter is a deeply integrating, shifting neuron process. You're making new connections. You're opening things up. They say that when you laugh, the 5 seconds after you laugh, your brain returns to the plasticity it had when you were 5. Whether that's true or not, it sure sounds good, and I think it's likely to be accurate. But you open up pathways, and so having you get witnessed, you get to have your story be a big deal. You get to have the sensational experience of being a victim. You get heard and seen. You get affirmed. You get mirrored. You get held in that space. And then the laughter actually, then you hear your story back to yourself, and you get to step outside of it. And as you do that, something opens or not, and then you laugh together about it. And there's a whole, there's a whole alchemy. So I sort of over described it, but anyway, you need to know the structure. I'm going to time you, and you'll get, a minute or 2 for each thing. So it'll be short. You're not going to tell a really long story. So make sure that you really stay succinct with it. And one person will go first. They'll have their whole round, and then the second person will go. One thing to remind you, when you are telling the story back to that person, you're just imitating exactly how they do it. So hopefully that person has really made it a big deal and really exaggerated it, but you're not making fun of them in any way. You're just mirroring them, and you're mirroring their exaggeration. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hi, everybody. How'd it go? Good? Okay, raise your hand if your if your pain increased, you had more pain after, more suffering about the story after than before. And raise your hand if the pain decreased. Yes, woo! All right, so this is an exercise you can use. I made this up when I was teaching laughter yoga, and it's a fun thing to play with and try out and use to process stuff. Don't go to the really, really painful stuff unless you feel very experienced in it, but try to have it be the kind of like everyday annoying stuff that occupies your time, that shouldn't take your time and leak your energy. In order to not bypass, we don't just go, okay, it's fine. We go like, I got to process this. So take a thing that's going on and tell a story about it. So it incorporates storytelling, it incorporates humor, it incorporates connection, it incorporates rewiring your brain. There's chemical things that happen when you're in person with someone. You've got mirror neurons going on. So the witnessing of this story and of seeing it back gives you all of this meta perspective. There's so much. You start to take yourself less seriously. It's a really cool exercise. You can teach it to other people. You can credit me. But it's a way to process stuff and not ignore it, not spiritually bypass it, and also stop leaking your energy by thinking about and obsessing about it and being upset about small things that maybe you have a hard time letting go of, but aren't really that important for your life to be holding on to. Here we go. Secret magic formula to writing jokes. Share screen. Here we go. Secret magical comedy writing questions. I did not write these. But essentially, this is it. What is weird, scary, stupid, embarrassing, hard, silly, or absurd? That's the question. What is weird, scary, stupid, embarrassing, hard, silly, absurd, ironic about the thing? And so you have a thing that's going on. The way that I write all of my comedy material, the way I write all of my stories, is I have something I'm upset about. I start, that's why I'm a comedian. I'm upset about something, and I want other people to hear me be upset, and I want other people to also be on board with why I feel that way. I want you to empathize with me. So I want to describe my experience as perfectly and as powerfully as I can, so that you go, yeah, that's effed up. That's why I do comedy, so that you empathize with me. And so the more you can do it in a funny way without trying to be funny, the more passionately, powerfully, specifically, clearly, articulately you can do it, the better. So I don't have time to go into the details of this, but basically, you write out a topic, you write out a premise, and you say a premise is any submission, anything that is a truism. Dating is hard. Dating online is hard. Let's just go with that, right? That would be, you write that at the top of the page. And then you ask yourself, what is weird about how dating online is hard? What is embarrassing about how hard online dating is? What do you hate about online dating and how hard it is? What do you love to hate about online dating and how hard it is? What do you hate to love about it? What's ridiculous about it? What's ironic about it? So then you answer those questions. Answer one on weird. Answer one on what's scary about how hard online dating is. What's stupid about it? And the more specific your premise is, the better your joke gets. So that's sort of a thing to play with that I know I just sort of opened up that can of worms. And there's one other can. And so just play with that. And I can send this to Leah as well for you. And there's one more can of worms I'm going to open up and not fulfill. But I meant to, there's another version of this that's better. But in rhetoric, you know, the aspects that are important are the ethos, the logos, and the pathos. So the ethos is about like who you are, your character. This is in making a rhetorical argument, which is pretty much every argument, every speech, every story is a rhetorical one. And so the element of the story that is you is called ethos. Your character, your words. The element of the story that is the text, that is the thing you're talking about, is the logos. And the element that is the audience and also your feelings and your experience is the pathos. So these three things are the modes through which we make an argument or a joke or tell a story or any kind of presentation. These are the nuts and bolts. The thing that I didn't learn 25 years ago when I was studying rhetoric is this element of kairos, which is time. And kairos, the presence, the nowness, the aspect of relevance, ties everything together. And the aspect that I'm adding, and so this is comedy, but this is really storytelling to me. It's kind of a larger context, not just comedy. But what I see, and there's supposed to be a circle around all of this in my illustration that I meant it, is eros. And so if you can imagine the diagram of the eros, and I'm sharing this because the course is called eros. So how I see it is eros is encircling it all. Eros is holding this whole thing. Boop, like so. And so it's one way to hold the aspects of, how do I hold the idea that like all of, how do I hold this text sacredly? How do I share some content that could be difficult for people? Or how do I hold an audience that I don't know how they're going to be? Or how do I hold myself? And how I see it is that we hold it with kairos, that it's all happening in the moment, and we can trust that. And that even more fully, we can trust that the eros, that some larger love is holding the whole space, is holding the whole thing for us. And so I just want to offer that as a way to one of many, many ways to see storytelling and comedy in specific. Okay, and then one more goodie. What to do when your subject isn't funny. I suggest you joke about everything that is ancillary. To your topic, to your subject. So let's say you are presenting about war. Wow, that is the least funny thing ever. But can we make fun of the hats that generals wear? Can we make fun of the leader's mustache? Can we make fun of petty things people get upset about during war? Can we make fun of what a ridiculous supply route there was, or things people are hoarding, socks? How absurd can you get? So that's just a kind of extra little piece I offer. Little goodie. So we're going to take, so I'll take a breath. I'll just name that I want to like pack as much in as I can. And I'm like, oh, I want you to get this, and I want you to get this, and I want you to get that. And I know that what we've done is enough. And I want to thank all of you and Leah for, wow, what a wonderful couple of hours we got to spend together. And thank you for bringing so much of you.
I had no idea that coming into comedy would have so much seriousness to it.
Yeah.
You know, and that it really is like some of the deepest psychology that we have in terms of getting to those places that release our ego and allow ourselves to come into connection with each other when we've lost it, when we've gotten so constricted and serious. And so I've really received that in your class today. Thank you for your amazing gifts of humor and for teaching and for kind of bringing us to the depth of what's living in our heart and our soul. And how can we stay in connection with you? How can we follow what you're up to? How can we support this amazing new TV series that you're pitching? What classes are you offering? What's happening?
So many things are happening. That's my website, Solo Showdown, for teaching and workshops. And I have a course that's been running for 2 years now. It's called Right Here Now, and it's an embodied writing workshop. And it's super affordable, it's $100 a month. We do a live class Tuesdays, 5 to 7 p.m. And it's not comedy in particular, but it's a deep workshop where if you have something to write and you need a space to write it, you can get it done there, and you get it in your body, and we move, and we do a guided meditation. We share our reading together, our writing. It's amazing. And if you want to write something, and you haven't been, or if you need a space to not be by yourself and be in community and be connected with your body and something above and like something greater, it's a great place to get it done. So that's like the thing, that's the most affordable, easy way to stay in connection and get something for you. And we have a bonus class on Sundays. I'm leading a solo performance and comedy workshop September to December. It's called Solo Showdown Epic Performance. It's on that same website. That'll be super fun. 3-month workshop, create a whole show / comedy. I am making my TV show, shooting a trailer this summer. This is my Indiegogo campaign. And even just supporting $1, $5, anything. Lots of great gifts there. Would be amazing to, support us to create this show about comedy and awakening. And that's my website. I'm doing some stand-up in the Bay in a couple weeks. And I'll be doing a run of my show at the Marsh in San Francisco in September. And yeah, so many. We can work one-on-one. I work one-on-one with people. If you've got a speech or a story that you want to create that needs humor to round it out.
Thank you so much for bringing us such a full rounded perspective of like what it really takes to be with the funny and the value of bringing humor to these times in particular, like how much that's necessary and needed. And yeah, so grateful for you in so many ways. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a beautiful day. Big blessings, everybody.